I guess it had to be done. I'm getting to grips with a smaller techno festival setup. I guess that is today's video. Let's go do it right now. Hey, check it out. I'm Analog Kitchen. Thank you for checking out yet another video. If this is your first time here, don't hesitate to click subscribe. Hit that notification bell because whenever I upload a new video, you'll be kept in the loop and you won't miss out on anything. Hang out till the end of this video. I'll tell you all about the Discord and Patreon connection. Tell you about the community. I'll tell you about who is the new patron, and I'll also tell you about this month's challenge. Music you can find on Bandcamp. If I like the jams and they turn out well, that's where you can find most of the music or other tunes that I have not previously released. So go and check that out. We all suffer from gas now, don't we? I mean, I've been suffering from gas even before the term was a thing. I've got so many synthesizers, new school, old school synths, drum computers, modular gear. It's not funny anymore. It's an excuse to constantly tell myself I'm constantly relevant, I'm making new stuff, I'm doing more things, and it's cool. You know, from the minute I think I need a new sound, I'm always trying to look for a new sound. But now I'm getting to a point like, is it really manageable, workable? So I have been, over the last past weeks, if you follow this channel, been slimming down my setup. It didn't really work out well. I kept adding more stuff, and I was waiting for this one synthesizer to arrive, and it's finally arrived. So now I have been working around a skeleton setup where I think that all the sounds that you do need are in there. Now, I'm not going to tell you what it is as of yet. I'm just going to show you. It is absolutely amazing, and it forces me to work very efficiently. Is it frustrating? Yes, very much it is. It's not the coolest way of working, because if a sound doesn't work, it means the whole structure falls apart pretty fast. And that's actually what I was looking for. To find myself in a spot where I need to push myself to have it be 100%, not have it be 98%, because that it's just not gonna cut it. So what has happened? I literally just went in with one machine taking care of drums and song structure. One machine is taking care of bass line and leads, and one machine is taking care of pads and arpeggios. Ooh, that means if you know my previous setup, a lot of gear has absolutely left. Now, this is not to say that this is going to be like etched in concrete, the be all and end all of this setup, but for now, I'll let you be the judge and let you decide. Let me know in the comment section below what you think, but it is cool. I have to tell you, it is a cool thing. Now, okay, let's stop talking and let's go and get some of that synth with wooden panels kind of vibe. You know what I mean? All right, let's go. All right, so this is the skeleton setup. There is a new Octatrack Mark II, which is sitting on the table here. Then I've got the almighty OB6, and then I've got the subsequent 37. So for the sound that I'm going to make today, it is going to be a melodic techno song. And for a festival setup, I'm thinking, okay, those synths pretty much lend themselves to be embedded within that sound. Now, I have built this whole track around a few things. On the Octatrack, let's start with that, because this is where my drums are coming from. So the setup is pretty simple. If you know the Octatrack, you know what I'm talking about. If not, I will just go quickly over what does what exactly. You've got like 2 pages, yeah? The Octatrack, octa meaning 8, so you've got like 8 audio tracks, or tracks on which you can place audio or process audio, and then there's 8 MIDIs. So the audio here is red, and the MIDI here would be yellow, which means that track 9 is going to be the first of the MIDI channels, which is here. Now, what I have done is the OB6 gets MIDI from the Octatrack as well as the subsequent 37. But the thing that works differently with the Octatrack is that you need to make sure that you know what you're playing, because it's hard to edit the sounds after you've played them. So what I've opted to do is to use multiple tracks for one synthesizer, meaning I can play different things. So on my track 1, for instance, on MIDI track 1, there's on the same MIDI channel, one line playing, OB6 plays one line, and then on track 2 here, there's another line that the OB6 plays, and then track 3 here is the subsequent 37. The Octatrack manual tells you to just leave the first 8 MIDI channels alone, so I'm starting at 9 here, so this is my channel 9. If I click it here, you see channel 9, don't know if you can make it out on the screen, and then bank 3, the program is 18, and then I've got it here 9, 10, and 11. 11 obviously being this bad boy here. But going to the audio side of things, because I have also routed the audio through the Octatrack, that means that going up on what happens on the Octatrack, turning the MIDI off, track 1 is my kick drum, that's here. And then track 2 would be my tom sound. That's a little loop. Track 3 would be my ride cymbal. Track 4 would be my disco loop. Very important, disco loops. I'll tell you why in a second. Ooh. Track 5 is a theme that I have sampled, which I'm building the track around. And for every track, this is going to be the layout. Kick on 1, some sort of a tom or some sort of a thing on 2. 3 would be a ride cymbal or a hat cymbal. 4 would be a loop. 5 would be a theme, so that it sounds more like the records out there you hear, because I think that I need to gel the synthesizer sounds together with a sample of some sort. So if I'm doing a remix or I'm doing anything else, this is where I would embed my theme or thing. Then 6 would be the first through machine, because obviously you need to get audio in the Octatrack to go out of the Octatrack again if you want to use external samples. So the A/B inputs would be the OB6 as well on the audio side, so that's one channel I need to forfeit. Then channel 7 is going to be the or the other way around, I think 7 is the subsequent. Yeah, 7 is the subsequent, 6 subsequent, 7 is the OB6, I got it, and 8 is the master track, on which I have embedded some reverb as well. So when I would start out this live set, this is what it's all about, right? So if I'm starting my live set, I would go to MIDI, I'll go to 1, and then I can play my, obviously if this would be on, here, whoa, get out of there, play it. Can you hear what's playing? Yes. Why is it not playing? It's playing because I am not on channel 1 and I'm not on MIDI. There I am. So see, now I've got myself set up. So I've got a long release on a sound. There's effects on there. There's delay and chorus. So you build up your track, and this is the one pattern again. So as I did with the MPC, again here I'm building stuff around this one pattern first, and then I get all the stuff that I need to play. I will play it, and then I will just structure it out on how I'm going to work that out. So first, obviously, you play something. You just gotta love this sound. It's amazing how this sounds, right? So it looks like I'm playing C minor. I am not. I've transposed this, which you can do by going to global, and then you say transpose, and then you can just go up and down. So obviously I have transposed it so that I don't have to fiddle about with different chords, because I have trained myself to just play well in. I just know to find my way around the C minor scale. So I've just opted to do that. So that is my one machine right here. Then going to a different, let's get out of there here. Yeah, this would be my different machine here. So again, play it. That's funny because it gets the sound, but it only plays once I play the sound. You have to make sure that the pads or that the trigs are open. So on this channel, when you go to the audio part of things, on 6, where my no, let's not do that. On 6 here, go here, go record. You see that all the trigs are active, which means that it's letting the sound through. This is obviously this bad boy over here. Nice one. So I've got my melodic techno sounds sorted. This is one sound, there's another sound. So you should pretty much, you could get going, right? You'd say. You can hear that there's a long release on the OB6 because that's what I love. Because when I go to that OB6 page right here, you can make a dramatic impact. And I should not press them too hard because otherwise it goes like. Velocity sensitive. Nice. Okay, the track builds itself up nicely. So I would probably look at, okay, first go in with the atmosphere a bit, I would think, you know. Lower the filter a little bit. And once I think this is nice, I'll probably start with the toms, because the toms on track 2 are an absolutely amazing thing. I'm not playing a bass line per se. I'm going to play a lead bass kind of note with the subsequent in a second. But the first thing that I would love to do is get some sort of a vibe going. I'll start with a little bit of reverb, which I have put on the master as well. Nice. So you build up tension like this, right? Going for a 7th chord even. If your fingers reach that far. And that's why I love that release. When you're ready and you think, okay, the crowd's ready for the next step, you enter the kick drum. Like so. So you can build up an ambience, knowing that the low end frequency is always going to be there. So can you hear now how that tom is acting as a bass note? Boom, tap, tap. So I chopped up a loop. I pitched that tom to play something else, because obviously this it's being built up as slices, to be honest. So I've got my slices here. So if I'll go to the slice page, out of the MIDI, go to the slice page, then on here you can see that there are 3 slices. So you can hear that I have played my slices up to just do different things, yeah? Right. So the third step that I would do, I'll go out because I'm using quick mute mode. The quick mute mode means that all the tracks are now here. The mute and the plays are now here. So kick out. So obviously for the next one, I would just probably go in with that loop. So you can hear that, okay, there's a vibe going, yeah? I need to get my bearings as well, because now I have to find out what the red dots are doing. So one, this is the first one, and that's the second one, that's the fourth one, the third one, and that's the fourth one. And then we loop back around. So that's how I've set it up. So also there's a question and answer, say a call and response kind of vibe on that tom that's playing. Let's quickly take that loop out again and listen to bop, bop. first measure, and then 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, very important, because then you extend the listener's attention. Because if everything is very repetitive, it kind of like starts to become boring pretty fast. So what I've done is I've done that, yeah? So then with that loop, you can hear that there's a little bit of a cowbell, because hey, we always need more cowbell, right? With that cowbell being embedded right here, you can hear that it's also tuned to the same key as where the tom and the percussive loop is that is taking care of the bass note. This on a loud sound system is going to kick your butt. I sincerely hope you're not listening to this on earbuds or anything, because that will take like half out of it. Listen to this on decent speakers and it will kick your butt. If you listen to this in the car, you know what I'm talking about, right? Okay, moving on. So I've got a ride cymbal as well. That ride cymbal is going to take care of adrenaline later on in the track. Yeah, on track 5, because all my drums are on 4, right? So on track 5 is where that first sort of like gimmick thing is going for. So what I will do is I'll go to the filter page, I'll filter it down. Filter page is like on effects 1, standard, there's always going to be a filter embedded. Now, if I'm opening up the sound, you'll get this. Now this is a loop, as you can see, that's playing on a different tempo, because it's a longer loop than the 64 steps that the Octatrack usually does. So I have opted to make all the tracks separate, so they can all play different lengths and different measures. And then I'll stick a long sample on there, which plays, well, now it's playing 4 times as slow, as you can hear. So what will happen is that that sound is opening up. It starts again here. Let me open up the filter. And to mimic everything, to mask it, I'm going to open up the reverb, which is on the master, on the crossfader, take out my bass loop, filter open, reverb open, function, and 1. When I let it go, my kick will start. See? Now we're in business. And as you notice, I've turned off that tom sound on 2, because now it gives me an extra 8 to 16 bars to go crazy with it. Kick out, kick in. And it builds itself up, it's all nice. Cool. In the meantime, I'm thinking, do I need to put my bass line in there? No, not yet, because I will play a little bit of something with my OB6. Go in here. Make sure that that's on as well. Now, I've played the same thing with the OB6, as you can hear. Take the kick out, take the loop out, open up the reverb. Now the thing with function, you arm stuff to be muted and play or not play. So now I've set myself up. 1, 2, 3. I need to make sure that I get my case pretty soon, so that every time when I hit something, my Octatrack's not walking away. So now the track is moving, yeah? I've got my boom, yeah. And now I can play something live as well, which is what I would like to do. Easy peasy, right? Hit the right chords. And the thing is, a cool thing, play something else. So I'm building up the whole thing, making a drop here. Now I think it's time to introduce a little bit more adrenaline. So kick out, tom, bass out, function, 1, 2, 3. That's 2 little plus signs, which means that on the next measure, it will start the 3 right cymbal in. And whenever you open a filter to make a big crescendo or a big like impact, don't forget to turn the filter down again. So I'm liking this. On the second track that I've told you about, in the MIDI part, I've already played something else as well. So what I will do is also here, quick mute, kick out. Now I'm playing some chords with the OB6. Ba, 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 ba. Again, something fast. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ba, ba, ba. Back and back. Open. Back. Fast, fast, fast. So first is slow, slow, fast, fast, fast. Then slow, slow. So that you pretty much go with that arpeggio that's being played. Open this up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nice one, right? So you can hear how you got multiple angles where the track can go. Take out all the drums. So 1, 2, 3, and this can be a drop off as well. What I will do now is introduce this bad boy here. Listen to this. Ba, da, 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 da. So the other one goes up, the arpeggio. This one's gonna go down. La 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 la. Go down. And the other one goes da, 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 da. So the two melodies are interacting, which means there's a lot that's happening. And at the same time, drums in. 1, 2, 3, and. And now you can play around with the filters, obviously. How nice is that? Place those strings again. 2 and. Listen to this. How lush is this? I can see myself standing like in some sort of like a forest stage or on a beach, you know what I mean? Listen to this. You see? This is how you make a dramatic impact. Very melodic techno style. Come on, let's have it. And then you go back with your So once you introduce everything nice and easy, that's when you start to build on the track again. Kick out, open up this, go in, 1, 2, and here you go. Take this out and play. And then you just repeat the whole process again. Pretty much that's how I just set it up. You can go to a different pattern, obviously, because if I would now go to a different sort of like track or pattern, say with my bank, I've got 4 patterns here already, but this is the one that I've worked on the most, seeing in how I've only got like the OB6 like not even a week, I think. So yeah, this is a process. This is a process where I think like, okay, where can I go? You can hear that as now the right cymbal starts to bug me a bit, but it's all to do with where do stuff go and where do you need to take it. Kick out, that's what I was doing, and then ride out, kick in. So you can actually hear that there's different layers and different textures that are going in a certain direction. Let's focus on those drums for a second, just the drums. So you can hear that if I'm playing the drums, and if you're very nitpicky, if you can hear it, the kick drum is half a semitone up. Now I don't want to, I can hear a few people in the chat already laughing about semitones up, as that was a thing that came up in a few videos ago with, I think it was like the drum and bass kind of vibe, where I think the rule is you need to put 7 semitones up on that amen break loop, I think. Okay, I don't care. But anyway, this kick drum is half a step up. You can say like, okay, you know what, you need to pitch it down. You'll go in track 1, you'll go to the first page, you see, and now it will be tuned to the correct pitch, I would say. But you know what though, sometimes I deliberately leave stuff like pitched off key a little bit, because even though it might be in the key of the track, I think on a sound system this kick would stand out a little bit more. And I can hear it now because I'm in a studio environment wearing like decent cans, but I do not think that you will hear it on a used sound system. And there's more punch on the transient. That's just a little bit more oomph to this kick when it's pitched up a little bit more. So, and I don't think you're going to hear this half a semitone on a huge sound system. But it's bugging me a little bit right now, but that's just nitpicky stuff. So as I said, the drums. Okay, I'm lucky because within this disco loop that I've got right here, let's see what I did with the tricks. Actually, this loop, I have halved it. So you can see like on the 1st and the 9th measure, going to all the pages. Let's take out. This is a trick that I do as well. You know, I like this loop the way it is right now, but I think that the cowbell's starting to swing a little bit too much, so it's starting to play a solo almost. And I've already got my solo instrument right here, so I don't want my drums to also do solos, right? So what I'm doing is I'm going to half step my loop, which means that if I will go out of trick and listen, this to me it's a little bit more of a housey kind of vibe. So what I would do, go in and place trigger, place trigger, place trigger. So now instantly it becomes more hypnotizing, and the hypnotizing part, that's the very important part, right? So obviously now there's a hat that comes with it. That's what the hat is doing. That's not, and it's not a hat per se. It's like what I said last week. It's more of a shaker kind of vibe, which is exactly. So come to think of it, yeah, I might have gotten this from disco tracks where they use a lot of shakers. I told you last week, a shaker hat is less metallic than a, say, processed drum computer hat per se. So yeah, this does the thing. So always look for kind of a broom kind of flow, like. So you can hear this now. So in this loop, there are 2 things happening. At one point, there is this percussionist playing a cowbell. We always need more cowbell. And then there's this brush, and a clap, clap, clap. So that means that I don't have to sacrifice another track for a clap, obviously. And then this does different things with the drums as the toms would do. So going in old school, if this is like an MPC hip hop kind of chop up sample approach, an old school way of working, and then a new school way of working would be the. Now you can really hear that kick drum is like in a different key, right? Okay, I'm gonna stop about it now. Right. So, but those 2 things together will tell your crowd that there's some sort of a bouncy, flowy kind of vibe going on, disco-wise. I mean, you're not gonna. I don't think you can hear that it's a disco loop per se. It's a top loop, but I would love that kind of vibe because with melodic techno, I do think sometimes it gets a little bit too sparse. That's the German approach and that's the French approach, I would say. And the French approach always, romantically, I'd say, reminds me of more of a Daft Punky kind of flow, and me coming from a groovy background, I would love to have, even though I'm playing a lot of melodics and sometimes a lot of dramatic sort of like melodies, I would still love my drums to be a little bit more bouncy so that it will invoke a positive flow, positive vibe on the dance floor. Not saying that the other sound does not invoke that kind of positive vibe, but you know what? In the end of the day, it's all about, you know, like positivity and flowy, and I like to just bounce around and get my groove on, which I did not do today too much, but I'm off camera, so I was dancing, don't worry about it. Okay, so the two things to get play. So now I've added, in that loop, I've added more percussionists. So instead of the guy being alone with his cowbell, now there's another guy with a tabla kind of tom, like boop, boop. So that's 3 people playing percussive right now. This in itself can be something you can dance to already. Stick a rave sound over this, it'll work. Stick a very dramatic long line over this, it'll work as well. And stick this on, it will work also. This is your classic melodic techno kind of flow, right? Let's roll with this for a second. And it's going through the blue sky, the subsequent. Blue sky is on shimmer, and then there's a room, there's a spring verb on the other side as well. So there's a little bit of pre-delay. Low damp and the high damp are all completely down. Yeah, they're very down. Nice. Right, and I listen to the right cymbal. This now opens up more of the high-end frequency, because you do need some sort of a metallic kind of vibe in there. I mean, at least for my music, you need it. So listen. Instead just regularly straight. Again, I'm approaching this from a groovy kind of flow. So again, you can hear dem dem to them, dem dem to them, pam pam padam padam pam 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 padam pam pam padam pam pam padam padam. You know what I mean? So that's another kind of groove. So all the things that are playing on track 2. Listen if I take track 2 out. My bass drum, sort of like tabla, tom kind of sound. I don't know how to call it. Now all of a sudden, there's no counter action going with the subsequent. And this is what I mean with the more sparse, like German approach. Maybe some sort of English approach also with this sound, which is nice. But then it's all hitting the filter. Which is cool, you know, but you don't want to be like, you know, like what Stefan Botsin does all the time. You want to have an original kind of vibe. So this is how you get to that Botsin sound, I would say. I love his drums as well. But for me, I want to have a little bit more of a, yeah, like I said, a bouncy kind of vibe. Because the low-end frequency content on this as well, this thing would definitely force a little bit of toothpaste up your eardrum, you know what I mean? Boom, boom, bam. Bam, bam, I just love it, you know. And how do you get to this point? I can hear you just like act like debate maybe. How do you get to getting a complete sort of thing? Well, first, obviously, I'll start with a kick. Yeah, this is a kick again. This kick needs to sound pretty decent. This is the kick that I've been using for a few weeks. You can hear it's round. It does what it does. Now, contrary to what I've said all those weeks before, I am using compression within the Octatrack. So if I go here, FX1. FX1 is a compressor that I have used. This is how it sounds normally. The gain is up on 12 and the threshold is on 35. So you can hear that it does a little bit more with the attack transient of the kick, and it gives a little bit of woo, 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 woo. There's much more of a pull push kind of vibe, some sort of a suction kind of flow on that kick. The ratio is on 10, by the way, but that's just if you got an Octatrack. When you got a compressor, you're using outboard gear, you're doing this stuff, you record it into your computer, you have to just find a setting. As long as you don't, this is the rule of thumb here, don't over exaggerate getting the attack to be aligned with the tail, which is what happens when you compress sounds. Obviously, it's a dynamic volume control, if you will, where you get to like determine how much more of the attack you would hear and how much more of the tail end you would hear. So it's a cool thing to just like even out like things that vary in amplitude. Like with this kick, for instance, you can hear that there's a letter D, sort of like attack on the beginning, and then there's the obviously the tail end, and those things can, if you focus, be easily spaced apart, but the compressor will just like gel them a little bit more together. And on a club sound system, even though it's hard for you to make out, you just don't want those two transients to be too far apart from each other, because it will invoke sometimes phasing issues, or at least make sure that you just cannot play your track as loud as you would want to play it. So a more compact, concise, sort of like condensed, well, there's a lot of words there, a sound on the kick would work. Same goes for something that lives in the same street. That's that tom sound. That tom sound, it's made up almost of the same sort of like fabric as the kick, so that's why I like to stick them together. That is why they would work well as a bass drum if you tune it well, because this now gives some sort of a portion of low-end content, and then you can just play with a bass synth, which is also what the subsequent can do pretty neatly. You can just play something else with it then on 11. Wait around for. There's a lot of low end play here as well, because I have sustained the notes, but because the filter goes all the way down, you will only feel this, you would not necessarily hear this. So again, I'm getting more dynamic content, more punch out of my sound, instead of just having everything be very audible in your face. So certain things you need to hear, certain things you need to feel, and if you work it that way, then you can embed more stuff on less equipment, obviously. Hence my staying away from the sparse setup, but it had to be done. If you got more synths, then you can actually just give different tasks to multiple players. You know, obviously playing football on the field works better with more people, but for this to work, the cooler you can get a few things to work, the better it looks. And yeah, I think that I'm getting there, you know what I mean? So listen to that low end here. It's still playing. Listen, if I'm open up. Oh yeah, make sure this is something I need to figure out, because obviously it's also filtering my kick. So I need to go to this page here. To use the filters and stuff, I prefer to just stay on the page or on the channel where the subsequent is playing, because it's sending out control change messages, and that's not what you would want, because you will alter the sound on the octatrack. But it's something that I need to look into still. But listen. See? So there's a call and response here as well. And then here, there's nothing playing anymore, right? It still is, but you can address it if you want to. And on 3, 4, and on 4, there's nothing playing. So this plays a song and dance with the second part of the tom, because that low note is only there for bass notes. So now you've got a three-dimensional thing going on with those sounds already, right? Okay, cool. And then the thing to take your attention away from everything is obviously going to be that arpeggio that plays on 5. Which I can address by going to jack 5, FX1, lower the filter. So I can hide in the background if I'm doing a drop or whatever. This is also mappable, so there is a way to just like get a controller to just play with the octatrack. But you know what? I'm loving the fact that I have to now think on my feet, like, okay, filter here, right? Okay, drum loop in, like so. Take the kick out, because I'm still opening up stuff. So to make this track work, one thing and then another thing and then another thing and another thing. Not everything at the same time, right? Because we have not listened to the OB6 for a while now, which is on track 9, remember? And it's playing the same thing as Yeah, you have to remember that you have to also turn on the through machine as well as the MIDI, otherwise it doesn't play. So once you get your head around that workflow, it'll be cool. Nice. With the right cymbal, this one off. Yeah, I'm liking it. Now it sounds simple. It's not that simple, but it's not very difficult once you get your head around it. I can only do this because I'm working in a sort of like, I'm working in a set structure on where I think the sounds need to come from. So if you do this throughout all the tracks, you can just do like long sets, have multiple angles. You can either just go with the OB6, play a little bit more strings, vibey, you know what I mean? Get out there, play a vibe, you know? And everything's laid out on the synth. We'll get into sound design in another video, but come on, man. Listen to the filters. Listen to the reso on it. I mean, you can get an LFO to do some vowel-y kind of vibes, so this thing will start to talk to you. There's so many different things. Okay, the BPM here is 126. I put like the delay on 126. There's two effects on there that I can either turn on or off, obviously. Nice. So obviously there's a lot of stuff that you can do with this synthesizer. I'm only touching the surface on there, but I'm loving it. So different pages for the effects, and I've noticed that this is a get there fast kind of synthesizer. I mean, I think there's cheaper options to just get to a result fast, but it will most often be only one sort of like thing that you would want. So again, do you need to have these expensive synths? No, you don't. But if you want to be versatile and do multiple things within the same thing, like this is a paraphonic synthesizer, can play those two oscillators separately, which means you can have a bass note and a lead line on the same synthesizer, which will be cool. And then again, on the octave track, you'll go to track 3 and then go to track 4 and just like copy your sound over, delete all the trigs, and you will have two MIDI tracks on the same thing. Play one oscillator here, play another oscillator there, because if you're not as savvy playing a synthesizer, because I can play, but you know, to play with two hands will be something that I cannot master. I can think it, I can program it, I studied to do that, but I'm not a piano player, so obviously for me that would be hard. So I would just play it separately, because I can think of one line, I can think of a bass line to go with it, and it'll be a live thing as well, so you will look more live. You'll play something on your synth, it'll be worth playing it, it'll be cool. So this is how I am working this kind of sound. This is the first track of many. Finally, I'm thinking, yeah. So yeah, I think there's space enough right here, right? Brian, Slim, Lemmy, yeah. We can still have maybe an MPC over here, because when it comes to MIDI and the thing, I have to admit that obviously the MPC line of things does a better job. But this gives me more of a live guitarist / saxophonist kind of vibe, rather than me just again going into a DAW-based environment almost, which is what the MPC is there. I said it. I'm not saying that I hate on it, because I am the MPC guy almost, but you understand where I'm coming from, right? Okay, now I will go and jam it out, because I've explained to where everything is. I'm still getting my bearings, so let me just get into a jam, and I'll leave it up to the other guy to tell you all about like challenges, Patreon, and all that kind of good stuff. Yeah, I didn't lie, did I? I mean, this is just the one track that I've been working on. I mean, I really do think that it's a cool approach, it's a cool way of doing stuff, but the sound, you know what I mean, it's manageable. It's more manageable, it's getting more and more in hand, so I think I'm going to be rolling with this for a little bit. Yeah, then Brian was coming up on my Discord page, which is connected through Analog Kitchen, which is connected to patreon.com/analogkitchen, saying like, I'm gonna bet $100 that MPC is going to make an appearance soon. Well, it might, as is the TBO3, because I can hear Slim think like, hey, and what about the TBO3? So yes, I think I can add more flavors to it. But in the end of the day, where I want to go and what I have seen other acts do as well live, the efficiency of trying to just like stay to the point a bit. And we're touching on that absolutely right there, isn't it? That's the whole thing, because when you get to different acts and people that produce with Ableton or take Ableton live to the stage, this is pretty much what I see them do. They'll stick to a certain spot, plan, routine, whatever you might call it, and then just run with that. And it seems to work pretty well on the dance floor. Not to say that I'm opting for the same thing, but I just kept adding synthesizers more and more and more. And while my collage and my palette went completely overboard and still sounded well, I mean, I think it sounded well, it's not manageable if you want to just travel around. And you know, shows are coming. I'm getting more and more and more requests of people wanting me to perform live now that COVID's lifting a little bit. So obviously I'm thinking, okay, can I do the same thing? Can I do more with less? Or at least can I get more sound out of less equipment? It doesn't need to be expensive equipment, by the way. This thing should work whatever setup you choose. But band members, you know, you need to really find out who is chief and who's Indian in this scenario. Now, I hope that this was helpful at all. Leave a comment in the section below and let me know if there's anything you would like me to get into. Okay, the challenge. Johann Sebastian Bach, remember him? We're actually doing a Bach festival in Dordrecht, that's where I am right now, in Holland, a little bit south of Rotterdam. There's this small city where I was born. It's called Dordrecht, and they have been doing a Bach festival, official Bach festival. So what's going to happen is that pretty much they've asked me to just like look at their event. There's a festival that they do, which means it's hosting a stage, and they want to just like modernize a little bit, or at least get classical musicians to co-interact with a more modern kind of vibe. So modern meaning me. So, okay, which means that I was thinking, okay, can I get my dollar set up to work with the classical music? So what we're going to do is we're going to collect samples, some real live played samples and some samples from Johann Sebastian Bach, as well as recitals, because now, as it seems, as it so turns out, Johann Sebastian Bach also did some spoken word recitals. So I have got a spoken word artist coming in next week. We're going to record some vocal bits as well, and all those samples will be available to my community, to you guys out there, if you want to participate getting into this contest. Now, there is going to be an online and an offline contest, obviously, because for people being close to where I am, or at least in the vicinity, or can make it here, whenever you would win or get close to winning, there is a chance that you could get to perform on that festival. That's what we have talked about. If you're on the other side of the world, however, it would not be fair to have you participate and not win anything. So what I have done is spoken to Pioneer, and Pioneer were so kind to give up one of their more high-end headphones, so you can win a set of cans courtesy of Pioneer. Thank you, Jeroen at Pioneer. So that will be a cool thing for you to do. It's going to be a big contest, yeah? So, I mean, the festival is going to be in June, July, around that time, but, you know, it is also going to be a challenge thing. So, you know, it's going to be, I think, maybe 48 hours that you have to do it. So stay tuned to that. But that's what's coming up. I mean, in the end of the day, we can all try and whatever sound you would like to make, it's cool as long as it contains those Bach samples. So they're coming. Yeah, I'm very excited for that because it's thinking out of the box. I will be performing with live violinists and cellists and everything, so it'll be a cool thing for me to do as well. Thinking out of the box, going out of my comfort zone. So once again, yeah, I'm looking forward for that. And in that sense, talking about Patreon, I'd like to... And... Here I am. And I want to welcome Raymond Z as my new patron for this week. Thank you for joining up. Thank you for supporting. There are 4 tiers. We're actually working out a lot of stuff. There's more information, but I will divulge that in the chat after this video. So patrons, you know where to find me. I'll be up in the chat after this video. Now, thank you for watching. If you made it this far into the video, you are an absolute superstar. Yes, you are. And if not anything else, I'll catch you next week. You know where, on another video. Analog Kitchen, out.